One of the points that is often made with players is that they can't have what we would call ball blindness on the field, that the only thing they're following, looking at during a game is the ball. They're not looking around and seeing the entire game, seeing what's happening around them, that they're only looking at the ball. For coaches and parents, we can fall into the same trap as well, not just from ball blindness, but also score blindness. And we're watching a game, and sometimes the only thing we're paying attention to is what's happening around the ball and what the score is, and we really miss the entire game. There's so many times where, I see parents or a team after a game and they're really excited they won the game, 3-1, 4-1, and they're really focused on the score, and watching the game, I'm noticing that, the same player who was up top scored all five goals. And the only thing the team tried to do is just get that ball to that player so they could score all the goals. For me, that's what I mean by score blindness. That yes, they won the game, the score is positive, but how did they get that result? Another team maybe loses 5-1, and the parents and coaches upset. And I'm watching the team play, and it's amazing how the players are trying to use their skill, trying to pass, move the ball around, trying to play the game the correct way. But the only thing we're focused on is the result of the game and the score. That's the score blindness we can have sometimes as coaches and parents, is we kind of use that final score to somewhat sometimes skew really what happened in the game. What was the team or my child or individual players able to do or not able to do? Where did they show success? Because there's a lot that happens within the game that really matters outside of the final score, especially at the youth levels. And then the ball blindness, often like as the players only looking at the ball, as a coach or parents, we're only sometimes following the ball around with our eyes, which makes sense because that's where the action is. But there's so many other things happening away from the ball. Players moving off it, players supporting it. You can look at, players' body language, how they're moving in relation to where the ball is at. There's so many things off the ball as well that needs to be considered and looked at, while you're watching the game. Sometimes we only measure our child's success or team success, based on what the player on the ball just did, not what all the players off the ball are doing, whether the team is in possession or out of possession. So the challenge is this, that I have for coaches and parents is that try not to fall into that trap of score blindness or ball blindness. See the entire game, watch the entire game away from the ball to see what your child's doing or the team's doing outside of exactly what's happening with the ball in that moment. And then also consider not just the final score of the game, but how that score came to be, how we got to that score. Because that matters, especially at the youth level, in terms of that result. It's not just the final score, but how we did that as a team, individually, groups of players. It's not just the score. So again, try to avoid that ball blindness and score blindness while you're watching your teams or your child's games this season.